science classes. Mrs. Quattro here, and I am going to go over with you your syllabus and your rules and procedures for this class. Now, you will have a copy of these when you get your iPad later on this week, so you'll have digital copies and access to this throughout the rest of this year. I do want to say that you're going to have a quiz after this, so please pay attention to both the syllabus and the rules and procedures as we go over this because you will be quizzed after watching these videos. So let's start off with this is the syllabus for this year. You are in environmental science and have been for a couple of days now. Now, depending on what hour you have this class, if you have it second, third, or fourth hour, then you have both me and Miss Gates as teachers in your class. If you have sixth and seventh hour, then it's just me in class and no Miss Gates. Now, I'm filming this several weeks before school actually starts, so if that is different, then the schedule must have changed on me and I didn't know about it. So, but as far as I know at this point, second, third, and fourth hour, you have two wonderful teachers, and then sixth and seventh hour, you have one teacher. So we are in room 304. You have my extension, you have Miss Gates's extension. Planning time for me is going to be fifth hour. So if you need to reach me during planning, that is going to be fifth hour. However, the best way to reach us is going to be through email. So here are both of our email addresses if you have both teachers in class. And if you're in sixth and seventh hour, then here is my email address. And that's definitely going to be the fastest way to reach me because I have access to my email throughout the day. So if it's during school hours, then email is going to be the best way to reach me. We do have a remind as well. If you don't know what a remind is, it's basically a text message that gets sent to your phone with any message that I send out. Now, in saying that, I do not blow up your phone with messages. Basically, it'll be like, hey, we have a test tomorrow. You should probably study for that. Or, hey, we have a lab tomorrow. Make sure you wear lab appropriate clothing. That kind of thing. So I'll get into the remind more in just a minute, but that is the code. But I'll in a different section, I will show you more about remind if you don't know what it is. So our textbook, we use Cengage, Environmental Science Sustaining Your World. We do have a digital copy, but we also have copies in class, and honestly, I have you use the in-class copies more often. So we will occasionally get into your book, not a huge amount, but we do access your book from time to time. Curriculum standards for high school science classes. There you go if you want that. Not that you can click on that link right now, but when you have your iPads, you will have access to that link. So what are you going to learn in environmental science? So really, environmental science is all about the interrelationships of the natural world. So we're going to talk about a lot of environmental problems, both man-made and natural, and then how do we evaluate them and come up with solutions to those problems. So there's a lot of, here's the problem, how do we fix it? So that's going to be the focus throughout this year, is we're going to be looking at, any area from biodiversity all the way up to climate change and that kind of big picture. So that'll be our focus for this year, is problems that happen in the environment, whether natural or man-made, and then how do we solve them. What do you need to bring with you every day? So the number one thing you're going to want to bring is your iPad, and your charged iPad, I should say. You will be using your iPad every single day. There will not be a day that you don't use your iPad that I can think of, or at least they'll be very few and far between. So you need to bring your charged iPad every day. Now, I do have a couple of areas in the room where you can charge your iPad, but not many, and I don't have any charging cords or blocks. So if you, for some reason, have an iPad that you forgot to charge, or it's the end of the day, maybe seventh hour, and you've been using it all day, and you need to charge it, make sure you bring your cord and block with you so you can charge it. Otherwise, you're going to have a dead iPad, and I don't have paper copies of things. So if your iPad is dead, there's nothing you can do, and that's going to be points off on your grade, and you're going to be very bored because you also can't get your cell phone out. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So iPad charged every day. Something to write with wouldn't be a bad idea, especially on days where we take notes. You will be writing quite a bit. So any pen or a pencil, anything that you can use to easy to read. You may want a binder. Some students really prefer to keep their binder or to have a binder, especially with your notes. You're going to want something to keep your notes in. So I recommend a 3-ring binder. You don't need anything crazy, about an inch thick, and you can keep it in a cabinet at the back of the classroom. There's a sliding cabinet with doors, glass doors on it. It may be in a different location right now, but when I return from maternity leave, it'll be at the back of the classroom. And you can keep your binders in there. I don't mind. They're labeled with the hour, and you just put your binder in there, and you can keep your binder in the class. You do need paper as well, with clean edges, please. I don't like any of those fringes hanging off because they get everywhere. And then if you want, you can bring colored pencils, markers, or crayons, but in the supplies cabinet, like you learned about last week when you created your beautiful Get to Know You poster, those are located in the supplies cabinet, so you don't have to have them, but some students really like to bring their own. So what do I expect of you in class? So I expect you to attend on time and be prepared. So that means bringing your materials like your iPad with you and then being on time to class. I expect you to be in class on time and working every day. I expect you to engage your mind. I expect you to participate in all activities, any labs that we're doing, tests, anything that we're doing in class. If you miss it, whether it's excused or not, you need to make up that work on your own time. Our grading policy is just the district grading policy. So an A is a 90 to 100, B is 80 to 89, so on and so forth. If you do not attempt an assignment, then I will give you a 0 with parent or guardian notification. We are on a point system in class, meaning that you will get points instead of a weighted scale for your overall score in class throughout the year. Tests are worth the most at about 100 points. I do not curve tests, and I do not do test corrections. So in saying that, your tests are really important. They can really help your grade or really hurt your grade. Daily grades, it changes just depending on the assignment, anywhere between 10 and 40 points. You will have quizzes from time to time that are worth 10 to 20 points each. Bell work, you're going to have that starting fairly soon, and that's going to be worth 25 points each. We'll talk about bell work a little bit more when we get to rules and procedures. Any labs or projects that we're doing are 50 to 200 points. It really just depends on what we're doing. And then the overall semester exam, both the fall and spring exam, are worth 20% of your overall grade, and that's board policy. Academic dishonesty. So don't cheat. That's really what it comes down to. That includes plagiarism, actual cheating, or submitting another person's material as your own. It's unacceptable in this class and in academic community in general. So if you cheat, if you steal somebody else's work, if you turn in somebody else's stuff as your own, then you will automatically get an F in the assignment. I will contact your parent or guardian, and I will let your principal know that you cheated. You will more than likely have after school detention as well, at least for one time, if you cheat. I have had students do this every single year. There's always some students that cheat, and I generally catch them, so please don't do that. Please don't make that choice to cheat or plagiarize or submit someone else's work, and otherwise there will be consequences for that choice that you make. All right, safety. This is a lab-based course. We don't do labs all the time, but we do labs. It kind of depends on what the class atmosphere is like and what the class is able to handle. So in saying that, you will be taking a lab safety test, I believe, this week, and you must have an 80% to pass to pass that test, and then you can do labs. If you don't pass it, you keep taking it until you pass it. If you do not pass it ever, like if you just like, I'm not going to study, whatever, then you will have an alternative assignment, which is generally book work, really boring, and a lot of it to make up for the lab that you're not doing. So it's really important to pass that lab safety test. Helping all students learn. We will be available after school, or at least I will be, until 4 p.m. on most days. If you need to stay later, then we can talk about that. But I am available after school on most days in order to make sure that you are getting the help that you need. So if you have any issues, come to me, come to Miss Gates if you have her in class as well. And we are here to help you. We want you to succeed in this class and in life in general. So let us help you do that. Your grades are going to be in PowerSchool. I don't grade on Google Classroom. You turn in your work on Google Classroom, but I do not put in grades on Google Classroom. They will be on PowerSchool. So make sure you have that app. And if you're like, hey, where's my grade? It's going to be on PowerSchool. Your parents and guardians can contact me or Miss Gates throughout the day. Again, email is probably going to be the best way. And then here's that remind information that I talked about earlier. So again, if you've never done this before, you're going to have to sign up for Remind. So you can either download the app. There's a Remind app. You can also go to this link whenever you get access to this digital copy of the syllabus, or you can text this message to this number, and that'll allow you to receive texts from me and messages from me, and you can send them back and forth. Maternity leave. So obviously, as you are aware, I am on maternity leave right now and will be through probably the beginning of September. That means that you're not going to be able to contact me legally. I cannot respond to you. I'm not supposed to work at all during that time period. So that means if you send me an email, if you send me a message, if you write something on Google Classroom, I will not be answering it. Now, if you have Miss Gates in class, then you already have a teacher in there, and so that's a benefit to you and why we have two teachers. If you do not have Miss Gates in class and it's just me, you're not going to be able to contact me in any way, but you can talk with the sub. Please be aware as well that assignments are not going to be graded by me until I return from leave and then have time to grade them. So depending on that, you may not have a grade, depending on if nobody grades anything, which is probably going to be the case, then you're not going to have a grade for a little while. Does that mean you should not do your work? No, please do your work, because it's going to be graded at some point, so you need to make sure that you do them, and we'll talk about late work and whatnot in just a minute. If you have any problems with this course or any assignments, obviously talk to Miss Gates if you have her in class. If you do not, you can talk to our department head, Mr. Stark. He's probably the best one to talk to if you're having any issues. And then based on last year, Mr. McCord was our science assistant principal last year, and if he is again this year, you can talk to him again, or you can talk to your grade principal, whatever grade you're in. When you get the digital copy of this, there'll be an assignment to go on here, click this link, and fill out a Google form acknowledging that you read the syllabus, you know what it's about, and you're going to follow the rules and procedures that we're about ready to go over too. All right, so let's talk about those rules and procedures. Scroll back to the top. Okay. So these are the rules and procedures for this classroom for the upcoming year. Please be aware that things may change, and I will update you as such. Probably when I get back from maternity leave, we will go back over these rules and procedures to make sure we are following them appropriately. Let's start with food and drink. You can have food and drink in the class as long as you don't make a mess. You need to have your drinks have a secure lid to them, and all trash needs to go in the trash can. If you start leaving your trash around, then food and drink will go away, because that is a privilege, and we don't want to make more work for the custodians at the end of the day, or more work for me, or more work for other classmates who throw your stuff away. So there are two trash cans in the classroom, so you have access to those. Make sure your stuff makes it in the trash. Cell phones. Now, as far as I am aware, again, I'm filming this several weeks before school starts. So, based on what I heard last year, the the school policy will be there are no cell phones allowed in class. So, I believe that will be the school policy. However, if that has changed, guess what? My classroom rule is still there are no cell phones allowed in class unless I say so or Miss Gates says so. Just assume you're not supposed to have your cell phone out. Like, I don't want to even see it. It is a distraction to you. You have your iPad, so you do not need your cell phone in class unless it happens to be a day where we finish early or you're working on something that I'm like, hey, you know what? Today's a good day to listen to music if you want to. And then you can have your cell phone. But just assume don't have your cell phone in class. If me or Miss Gates has to repeatedly tell you, and by repeatedly I mean more than 2 times, put your cell phone away, then you're going to be taking that to the principal for them to hold for the rest of the day and continue on with the consequences from there. So, no cell phones. Respect and responsibility. Please don't talk back to anybody else's stuff without permission. You're going to want to follow all classroom rules and procedures. You are responsible for yourself. So you are in high school. You are 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, and you need to be able to respect yourself and other people and be responsible for yourself. So we treat you like an adult in the classroom if you act like an adult. So please make sure you are being respectful and responsible towards yourself and everyone else. Please follow directions. When we give them, you want to follow them because we're giving you direction for a reason. No swearing, teasing, or name calling. Swearing is a big one. Swearing, it's fine, but not in the classroom setting. We don't curse in an educational situation, which is what we're in. We are in a classroom, and so we're not throwing out curse words. We're not teasing anybody. We're not name calling. Don't make fun of another classmate for any reason whatsoever. Animals, any animals that we come across, any teasing of those animals will not be tolerated, whether that's inside the classroom or outside the classroom, and that's including bugs. If you find a bug in the classroom, don't kill it. Let me know, and I will probably just take it outside. All things deserve to live, and that includes all animals and insects and anything else. All things deserve life, and so we're going to be kind to all living things. iPads. I've already hit on this many times. I feel like I've touched on this quite a bit. You need to bring your iPad every day. It should be fully charged every day. I don't want the excuse of, oh no, I just forgot to charge it. You need to charge it. You need to bring it every single day. And then, of course, all other school rules will apply too. All right, let's talk a little bit more about bell work. You'll have an assignment, not quite yet because we need to have your iPads kind of set up and get going into the class, but you will have an assignment every single day that's called bell work. And when the bell rings, I will put the bell work up on the board and you will copy down the bell work. You'll write down the question, the entire question, and then the correct answer choice. And we will talk about it in class. So you're going to begin that immediately as soon as the bell rings, like no hesitation. That's what you start doing. And you'll turn them in every week. This should say, sorry, not on the same paper. I thought I changed that. So sorry. On Google Classroom, and then it'll be turned in on Google Classroom on Friday. So this will be not on paper, but on Google Classroom. You will do that every week, and this grade will really, really help boost your overall grade because you'll have one every day. They'll be worth 25 points a week. That is 100 points a month. And if you look back at our tests, notice test grades are 100 points. So for every bell work month that passes, you're basically getting 100 points, which can balance out your overall test score if you're not a great test taker. So once we start bell work, it's really important to keep up with it because it can really help your grade, or it can really hurt your grade if you aren't doing your bell work. And I'll go over the instructions on bell work again once we start doing it. Tardiness. You need to be in class on time. So what equals tardy? Basically, if the bell rings and you are not in the classroom when the bell rings, you are tardy. If you are standing out in the hall talking to a friend and the bell rings and you are not in the classroom, you are tardy. If you are coming back from the bathroom and you didn't quite make it on time and the bell rings and you are not in the class, you are tardy. So you need to make sure you are inside the classroom when the bell rings. Okay. If you are tardy, then those tardies will start accruing and accumulating, and then we will follow the school tardy policy based on detentions and lunch detentions and eventually ISRs and suspensions and all that fun stuff. So you need to make sure you are on time to class every day. Hall passes. I'm not sure if you will have hall passes laid out for you already, but I know when I come back, you will definitely have a hall pass that you will need to fill out. And then when I come back, there will be a very specific way that we use the bathroom. Okay. So in order to stop everyone from going to the bathroom all the time, and then also help your grade, that's really part of the big one. You're going to be given 4 tickets for each 9 weeks. Okay, so at the end of the 9 weeks, you'll turn in those tickets and then you'll get new tickets. These tickets are used to go to the bathroom, to get a drink, to go anywhere outside of the class. You need to give me a ticket or give Miss Gates a ticket. The way that it helps your grade is that if you don't use those tickets at the end of the 9 weeks, you turn them in and we will add 2 points on a test score for every ticket turned in, which means you can get a total of 8 points on a test that's almost a full letter grade that can be added to your test. Okay, now these are not valid on semester tests or projects, but the general unit tests, of which we will have 6 throughout the year, that is really helpful. So those tickets are your pass to go to the bathroom. If you don't use them, you get points added to a test. And again, you'll get those when I return from maternity leave. Please be respectful of any guests or visitors that we have in the classroom. If we have anyone that comes in, please just be respectful and continue working on your stuff. Substitutes, really important to be respectful to the substitutes. If I am out, or Miss Gates is out, or if it's just me and I'm out, then, and now, especially now I'm on maternity leave, the sub that is in there, you need to give that substitute your full respect and treat them just like any other teacher. I don't want to have any problems with substitutes when I come back from maternity leave. Okay. So, I know you all are very respectful students, and you're going to continue to be respectful to them, just like you will be respectful to me when I come back from maternity leave. Absences. If you are absent, you need to check Google Classroom for your work. That's where your missing work will be. Sometimes it's on paper, and if you don't see anything, then come see me, but almost always it's on Google Classroom. You are responsible for completing that assignment. I have probably around 150 students, and I'm not going to say, hey, you were absent yesterday. Please, here's what you missed. No, you are almost an adult and you are responsible enough to check for your work. So if you're absent, make it up on your own time. Now, quizzes and tests, I always let you know at least 1 week ahead of time before you have a quiz or a test. So if you are absent on the day where we have a quiz or a test, you should be prepared to take it when you come back. So if we have a test on a Thursday, you're absent, but you come back on a Friday, I do not want to hear, wait, I didn't know we didn't have the quiz, or I didn't know we had a test. Yes, you did, because I told you with plenty of notice, so you will be taking it the day that you return. There will be no excuses for that, okay? Late work policy. I am very lenient when it comes, or easy when it comes to a late work policy in ES. So you guys are environmental science. This is my AP group. You're focusing in on environmental science, okay? So if homework is late, it will be marked as a 0 until it is turned in. That sounds strict, but here's the easy part. You have until the end of the unit to turn it in for full credit. So if you miss something or you didn't do something, I will tell you, hey, the last day to turn this work in is this date, and you have up until that time to turn that work in or for full credit until the end of the unit. After the unit is over, you cannot turn it in. So we have 6 units. So that means that I believe our first unit will be done by the middle of September, I want to say. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it's the middle of September, which means from the day school starts up until the middle of September, you can turn in any missing work up until that date for full credit. Does that mean that you should not turn in your work until that day? No, because after years of doing this, I have a lot of students that are like, I'll get it done eventually, and they never do. And then it goes in as a 0, and then it drops their grade. Okay, so please get your work done as in class on time. And then if for some reason you miss something, maybe something goes on at home, maybe you're working too much and you just weren't able to get your homework done, whatever, you at least have some time to get that turned in. Let's see. If you miss a lab, that's a different situation, and we'll talk about that at that point. And then lastly, turning in assignments. You're going to be turning in your assignments through Google Classroom. I hardly ever take paper. Most of the time it'll be an assignment on Google Classroom, or I'll have you take a picture of the paper and upload it to Google Classroom. So you're not really going to be turning in paper stuff to me. Don't turn in blank assignments on Google Classroom and hope they're going to get graded. They won't. I always check. I'm not a teacher who is like, oh yeah, it looks like everybody turned it in, we're good. No. Me and Miss Gates always check. So please make sure you're going to actually turn in the assignment. If you turn in a blank assignment, I'm going to return it to you. And guess what? It'll just say missing again. So make sure you do your assignments and then turn them in. And then assignments are due during the period that you are in class, not at the end of the day. So if I say, hey, this is due today, that means now in class. That means get it done and get it turned in. It's your responsibility to get your work done on time. So you are now going to have a quiz over that video that you just watched, over the syllabus and the rules and procedures, to see how well you were paying attention. And I know that can be a little bit challenging to follow along. I want you to do your best. You're going to be writing your answers on your own paper. So make sure you try your hardest, and I will talk to you again in another video real soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.